In the sparkling world of Hollywood, where glamour and fame weave dreams, there exist chilling stories and dark secrets darker than any movie script. Behind the stage, we will pull back the curtain together. We will uncover shocking tragedies where Hollywood's vanity turned into bloody disaster. From Oscar-winning stars to familiar names, their fates took an unimaginable turn. Love turned into crime. These are not just entertainment scandals, they are real-life nightmares hidden beneath the red carpet of fame. Earl Hayes. On a fateful morning, December 8th, gunshots shattered the peace at a luxury apartment complex in Los Angeles. It signaled a horrifying tragedy. Stephanie Mosley was a talented dancer and actress. She shone brightly in Hellcats and VH1's Hit the Floor. Her future promised so much more. But in a single moment, everything collapsed. Her husband, Earl Hayes, was a promising rapper with powerful industry ties, including a close friendship with boxing legend Floyd Mayweather Jr. Earl also lived in the spotlight, but underneath the glitter, a burning fire was smoldering. When police arrived, the scene was haunting. Both Stephanie and Earl were dead. Investigators confirmed Earl had taken Stephanie's life before ending his own. The tragedy deepened with reports that Floyd Mayweather was on FaceTime with Earl during the confrontation. Some sources revealed that Mayweather may have witnessed the entire event, powerless to intervene. Rumors spread about jealousy, mental breakdowns, and betrayal. Whispers about a past relationship involving Mayweather may have sparked Earl's collapse. News spread. Hollywood mourned. Jennifer Lopez, Ashley Tisdale, and Eva Marcille expressed deep sorrow. Eva called Stephanie an absolute angel. The pain was enormous. Shock was indescribable. The heartbreaking story of Stephanie Mosley and Earl Hayes remains a harsh reminder. It warns us about the importance of confronting mental health issues and fractures in relationships. Oscar Pistorius. The Blade Runner was a global symbol of resilience and triumph over adversity. He crushed a fairy tale and turned it into a nightmare. On Valentine's Day, 2013, Reeva Steenkamp, a radiant, smart, and promising model, was brutally shot and killed at Oscar Pistorius' home in Pretoria, South Africa. Reeva had impressed viewers on shows like Tropa Island of Treasure and Baking Made Easy. Her love story with Oscar Pistorius, the Olympian who raced on prosthetic legs, seemed magical. Their public appearances painted a perfect picture. But everything collapsed that fateful night. Reeva locked herself in the bathroom. Pistorius fired several shots through the door, hitting her 3 times. He insisted he mistook Reeva for an intruder and acted out of fear. But his story raised many questions, especially with the number of shots and no warning shot fired. The case became one of South Africa's most sensational trials, capturing worldwide attention. Pistorius' defense was doubted. The case sparked a bigger debate about gender-based violence. Initially, Pistorius was convicted of manslaughter in 2014 and given a 5-year sentence. The public was outraged, believing the sentence too light, but the story didn't end there. In 2015, the appeals court overturned the verdict, finding Pistorius guilty of murder. His sentence was raised from 6 to 13 years in prison. Reeva's death left a deep mark and ignited important conversations about justice, domestic violence, and the need for systemic change. Released in 2024, Pistorius now lives quietly in Pretoria with his uncle. He will be supervised until 2029. He volunteers at a local church. He is reportedly dating Rita Grayling, a woman who looks strikingly like Reeva. Was Oscar Pistorius' story shocking enough for you? If you want to see even more unbelievable names, comment 1 below and keep watching till the end. Robert Blake. The life of Robert Blake, one of Hollywood's legendary names, ended with a heartbreaking tragedy. Many wondered if art really imitates life. This famous actor, known for haunting roles, especially as a real-life killer in 1967's In Cold Blood, faced a cruel fate. His personal life took a similarly dark turn. In 1999, Blake married Bonnie Lee Backley. She was famous for her complicated past, often conning wealthy older men for money. Their marriage was tense from the start. Disaster was always near. In 2001, Bonnie was found dead in her car with a gunshot wound to the head. The gruesome nature of her death shocked the public. All eyes turned to Robert Blake. He was a beloved actor, but now he was arrested and charged with murder. The media frenzy began. Terrifying allegations surfaced. Blake was accused of trying to hire someone to kill Bonnie. The once-admired artist became the prime suspect in a murder case. Yet, when the criminal trial went to court, the jury found Blake not guilty. Many were stunned. The verdict divided opinion. Some believed in his innocence. Others believed he had gotten away with murder. But the story didn't stop there. Bonnie's family sued Blake for wrongful death. They wanted justice. This time, the court ruled against Blake. He was held responsible for Bonnie's death, facing a $30 million judgment, a financial blow that ruined him. Robert Blake died in March 2023 at age 89 from heart disease. His dramatic life ended like a Hollywood script. Even after acquittal, doubt never faded. Blake's downfall is a haunting reminder. Sometimes life can imitate the darkest roles actors play in ways no one can predict. Phil Hartman. Unbelievable! That was actress Rita Wilson's reaction. She was a close friend of Phil Hartman's family. Her words summed up the shock and disbelief that followed the tragic loss of the gifted comedian. Phil Hartman was beloved by millions for iconic roles in Saturday Night Live, The Simpsons, and news radio. He could light up any room with a glance or a line. No one saw the darkness slowly enveloping his home. To the world, Phil and his wife Bryn seemed to have it all. A glamorous Hollywood lifestyle, a happy family, a perfect marriage. But reality was far from perfect. The ending would be an unimaginable tragedy. On May 28, 1998, the Hartman family home in Los Angeles became the center of a national tragedy. While Phil slept, Bryn took his life. She then ended her own. Their 2 young children were left alone in the house. The shock rippled through Hollywood and beyond. How could such horror strike such a beloved couple? Toxicology reports later revealed a worrying mix of substances in Bryn's system: alcohol, stimulants, and prescription antidepressants. Combined with years of marital strain, that night became one of the most devastating events in celebrity history. Those close to the family were devastated. Phil was known as a devoted father. Bryn, a loving mother. Nothing could explain it. That only deepened the pain. Albert Salmi. Salmi was a familiar face on Broadway and American television, known for his deep voice and masculine presence. On April 23, 1990, police sirens shattered the quiet at Albert's home in Spokane, Washington. No one expected the horrifying scene inside. The actor with the warm, deep voice and handsome looks, a beloved star on stage and screen, was gone. Both Albert Salmi and his wife Roberta were found dead. Later investigation revealed the heartbreaking truth. Salmi had shot Roberta before ending his own life. This brutal act shocked everyone. Further investigation uncovered months of tension and simmering arguments between Albert and Roberta, especially over financial issues and personal differences. Close friends said Salmi was private. He hid his emotions, which may have caused pressure to build inside him. Tragically, that pressure exploded in violence. The entertainment world was left with a lasting scar. Salmi's death is a haunting reminder. Fame does not always shield people from pain, and invisible struggles can have devastating consequences. Claudine Longet. March 21, 1976 in Aspen, Colorado, should have been a cozy dinner night. Instead, Vladimir Spider Sabich's life ended suddenly with a bullet. Standing nearby was his lover, French-American singer-actress Claudine Longet. She had once lived in luxury and fame, appearing perfect beside famous husband Andy Williams. Everything changed after that tragedy. Claudine claimed it was an accident. She said Sabich was showing her how to use the gun, and it went off. Prosecutors disagreed. They argued that evidence did not support her story. For instance, Savage was found bent forward, back turned to her, at a distance inconsistent with just demonstrating how to hold a gun. This raised serious questions. Was the shooting an accident or something more deliberate? The Claudine Longet case became a dramatic legal saga. However, investigators made serious mistakes. They took Claudine's blood and seized her diary without proper warrants. These errors meant crucial evidence could not be used in court. There were traces of illegal drugs in Claudine's system. Her diary showed tension with Savage. All this evidence was dismissed. Even the gun was mishandled, making the case against her more difficult. In the end, Claudine was convicted of negligent homicide, a much lighter charge than many expected. Her sentence was only a small fine and 30 days in jail, served on weekends so she could be with her children. Public criticism grew after it was revealed that Claudine later vacationed with her defense lawyer, Ronald D. Austin, who was married at the time. They eventually wed, and Claudine moved to Aspen to live with him for years. The Savage family filed a civil suit, later settled privately on the condition Claudine never publicly discussed the killing or the settlement. Tom Neal. Tom Neal was famous for his role in the classic noir film Detour, 1945. He embodied mid-century cool, a rising star with a boxer's build and a movie star face. But beneath the public image was a stormy private life. He was quick-tempered and prone to violent outbursts. That anger reached a tragic breaking point on October 2, 1965. In a heated fight with his wife, Gail Bennett, everything spiraled out of control. In a fit of rage, Neal grabbed a gun. That act ended Gail's life instantly. Authorities arrived at the scene and found something far removed from Neal's on-screen glamour. He claimed it was an accident, that he never meant it, but those close to him knew the truth was far more complicated. Behind closed doors, Tom had a troubled past. Friends described him as a man struggling to control his emotions, with a history of violence in relationships. His marriage with Gail was far from perfect, rife with jealousy and fierce arguments. The legal battle that followed destroyed his Hollywood image, revealing a much darker man than fans ever imagined. He was convicted and sentenced. Neal's career ended. By 1972, Tom Neal's story closed quietly and tragically. Alone, disgraced, and forgotten. Years after his release, he died with no attention, his name erased from the industry he once dominated. Even now, whispers of his fall haunt Hollywood's most tragic cautionary tales. Gig Young. Just 3 weeks after marrying his fifth wife, Kim Schmidt, the life of acclaimed actor Gig Young ended in heartbreaking tragedy. Both were found dead in their luxury Manhattan apartment on October 19, 1978. Young was the image of classic Hollywood success. Handsome, charming, and critically acclaimed. He won an Oscar for his haunting role in They Shoot Horses, Don't They? And a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He seemed untouchable, but behind the camera, his personal life was unraveling. According to police inside the Osborne apartment, Young was found face down on the bedroom floor, clutching a .38 revolver. Kim's body was nearby. A diary found at the scene described a recent happy wedding, with no hint of the coming darkness. Neighbors recalled strange noises around 2:30 p.m. that day, but the bodies weren't discovered until 5 hours later. For those close to Young, the tragedy was not entirely unexpected. He had battled alcoholism and mental health issues for years. He even sought help from doctor. Eugene Landy, a psychologist, later criticized for unconventional treatments. After Young's death, his body was taken to Beverly Hills for the funeral, then buried under his birth name in Waynesville, North Carolina with his family. His estate, worth $200,000, included the Oscar he left to his agent's wife. Decades later, Young's daughter Jennifer succeeded in reclaiming the award. Russell Neal. On July 2, 2014, Russell Neal, a member of the famous R&B group High Five, walked into a Houston police station. Calmly, he reported that his wife was dead. It was a cold, emotionless confession. It ended his music career forever. High Five once brought joy to countless fans with hits like I Like the Way and The Kissing Game. But no one imagined Russell would become linked to a shocking crime. He offered few details and did not resist arrest. He simply stated the fact of his wife's death. Police later found Catherine Martinez, his 24-year-old wife, dead at their home. Catherine was a young mother of 2 boys, ages 3 and 4. Thankfully, the children were unharmed. They were placed with Russell's mother, but the trauma of losing their mother so violently would haunt them for life. News of Catherine's death stunned neighbors and those close to the couple. Neighbor Raymond Batista told CBS, "They seemed like a happy couple. It's shocking." However, events soon revealed a much darker relationship. Russell's agency, Braun's Most Wanted Entertainment, quickly cut ties with him. They made it clear that Russell was no longer a group member and would not be part of future projects. The music industry, once welcoming Russell as part of a popular group, now faced the harsh truth. Fame can hide many things, but not always the truth. After Russell Neal's cold-blooded crime, where are you watching us from? Comment your country and let's see how far this shocking story has spread. Michael Jace. If you like to run, then run to heaven. These chilling final words, reportedly from Michael Jace, are etched in memory. They marked the end of an extraordinary woman's life and began a 40-year prison sentence. April Jace was vibrant and athletic. She ranked in the top 5 fastest female sprinters in the U.S. in 2011. She won gold at the World Championships. Beyond her athletic achievements, April was a devoted mother and beloved community member, admired for her warmth and kindness. But her life took a tragic, violent turn in May 2014. On the night of May 19th, police were called to the Jace home in Hyde Park, Los Angeles. Neighbors reported gunshots. What they found shocked everyone. April Jace had been shot dead by her husband, actor Michael Jace, famous for playing a cop on FX's The Shield. The tragedy deepened because their 2 young sons were home during the shooting. Witnesses later said Michael Jace taunted April, deliberately shooting her in the legs before delivering the fatal shot. The calculated nature of the crime stunned investigators and the public. After the shooting, Jace texted April's mother. He confessed and asked her to come to the house. It was a cold, heartbreaking message no parent should ever receive. Michael Jace confessed almost immediately. The trial exposed the devastating impact of his actions, especially on their children. The court heard that his crime was deliberate and cruel, not a momentary loss of control. In 2016, Michael Jace was sentenced to 40 years for killing his wife. The case left a lasting mark, highlighting the often hidden dangers of domestic violence. April Jace's memory lives on. Her story is a harsh reminder of the urgent need to address and prevent such tragedies. Michael Jace, once hailed as a screen hero, now lives in disgrace behind the walls of Corcoran State Prison. Chris Benoit. On June 25, 2007, a horrifying scene revealed the dark secret behind one of professional wrestling's most beloved icons. Police found the bodies of Chris Benoit, his wife Nancy, and their 7-year-old son Daniel at their home in Fayette County, Georgia. All had been violently killed. Investigators quickly reached a shocking conclusion. Benoit had murdered his wife and son before taking his own life. News spread fast. Fans and the public were stunned. How could a man so devoted to his family and career fall into such darkness? Experts soon found that Benoit had suffered serious brain injuries from years of intense wrestling. These injuries, plus depression and substance abuse, may have contributed to his loss of control. Still, the big question remains. What drove Benoit, a loving family man, to such horror? Chris Benoit's tragedy isn't just about brutal murder. It's about the lasting damage of physical and mental health struggles. His promising wrestling career ended tragically. WWE and its fans were left with a black mark. Benoit's story is a grim warning about the price of relentless physical and mental stress and the danger when such struggles are ignored. Sid Vicious. Sid Vicious, bassist of punk legends. The Sex Pistols lived a life of chaos and self-destruction. It ended tragically. His relationship with Nancy Spungen was troubled and famously volatile. On October 12, 1978, the punk world was shaken. Nancy Spungen was found dead with a fatal stab wound in their New York hotel room. The night before, the couple had hosted a wild party with heavy drug use, noise, and people coming and going all night. Sid, under the influence and nearly unconscious, drifted in and out of awareness. By morning, Nancy was gone. Sid, found stumbling and confused in the hallway, gave conflicting statements. At first, he took responsibility. Then he said he didn't remember. He even suggested Nancy fell on the knife during an argument. Sid was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. The chaotic scene and many people present led his defense to argue others could have been involved. The case was never resolved. Awaiting trial, Sid's life spiraled further. After a failed suicide attempt, he lost his battle with drugs at a party on February 2, 1979, dying at 21. Sid Vicious became the symbol of punk's darkest side, a rising star devoured by his own chaos. The tragic end and the unanswered questions about Nancy's death left a legacy stained with sorrow. OJ Simpson. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit. This famous line from attorney Johnny Cochran became the hallmark of OJ Simpson's trial. It was one of the most controversial and famous legal cases in American history, dividing the nation. OJ Simpson, former NFL star and actor, was accused of murdering his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ronald Goldman on June 12, 1994, outside Nicole's Los Angeles home. The trial started in January 1995 and lasted 8 months. It drew massive media attention. Simpson's defense team, the Dream Team, included top lawyers like Johnny Cochran and Robert Shapiro. They attacked the LAPD's racist history and mishandling of evidence, especially DNA. After months of argument, the jury acquitted Simpson on October 3, 1995. The verdict stunned many. The case split the country. Most African Americans saw it as a victory against racial injustice. Many white Americans believed Simpson was guilty. Although acquitted in the criminal trial, Simpson was found liable in a civil suit in 1997 and ordered to pay $33.5 million, though most of that remains unpaid. O.J. Simpson died on April 10, 2024, at 76, after a private battle with prostate cancer. His death reopened old wounds and reignited fierce debate. Was he a symbol of racial injustice, or a man who escaped responsibility? Even in death, the shadow of his trial refuses to fade. Jovan Belcher. On November 30, 2012, a furious argument shattered the calm of Jovan Belcher's home. The Kansas City Chiefs linebacker ended it with gunfire and 2 lives lost, leaving a child orphaned. Jovan seemed to have it all: a promising football career, a young family, and a supportive community. But underneath, his relationship with girlfriend Cassandra Perkins was tense. After Cassandra returned home around 1 a.m. from a concert, a fight erupted. Friends later revealed arguments were common for the couple, and this one escalated quickly. After leaving the house, Jovan was found by police around 2:50 a.m. at another woman's apartment. He was calm and showed no signs of losing control. Officers let him stay, but when he returned home, another confrontation began. Then came tragedy. Jovan, in an unbelievable moment of violence, shot Cassandra in front of his mother, who had moved in to help care for their 3-month-old daughter, Zoe. After the shooting, Jovan drove to the Chiefs' practice facility and confessed his actions to team officials. Moments later, with police arriving, he ended his own life, leaving his daughter without parents. Autopsy reports showed high blood alcohol in Jovan. Later studies confirmed he suffered from CTE, a serious brain condition linked to repeated head trauma. The Chiefs played their scheduled game the next day, observing a moment of silence for domestic violence victims, though they didn't specifically mention the tragedy. Was Jovan Belcher a victim of mental illness, or simply a cold-blooded killer? Comment yes if you feel sympathy, no if you think there's no excuse. Share your thoughts. William S. Burroughs. A dangerous game inspired by William Tell ended in ultimate tragedy. It ended Joan Vollmer's life and haunted her husband, writer William S. Burroughs, forever. One fateful night in 1951 in Mexico City, Burroughs was living with Joan. A terrible incident changed his life for good. Their relationship was strained by Burroughs' benzodiazepine addiction and Joan's struggles with alcohol and amphetamines. After a night of drinking, Burroughs, reportedly drunk, suggested a dangerous game. He asked Joan to put a glass on her head so he could shoot it off. Tragedy struck. Burroughs missed. The bullet hit Joan in the head, killing her instantly. He claimed the gun went off accidentally as he dropped it, but witnesses and evidence contradicted his story. He was arrested and charged with criminal negligence manslaughter. Burroughs spent 13 days in jail before his brother arranged bail through a bribe. The case was postponed indefinitely and Burroughs fled Mexico. He was convicted in absentia and received a 2-year suspended sentence. This tragedy became an inseparable part of his story. Burroughs went on to become a Beat Generation icon, influencing countless writers and artists. But the aftermath of Joan's death colored his life forever. Ray Carruth. Carruth stopped his car in front of me, blocking me. Another car pulled up, and someone inside started shooting. These words came from Cherika Adams' desperate 911 call. She was the victim who exposed Ray Carruth, former NFL player for the Carolina Panthers, in one of the most shocking sports cases ever. On November 16, 1999, Cherika, pregnant with Carruth's child, was shot several times while sitting in her car near his Charlotte, North Carolina home. She managed to call 911 and told the dispatcher that Carruth blocked her, then fled the scene as another car arrived and gunfire erupted. Cherika was rushed to the hospital. Doctors performed emergency surgery to save her baby boy, Chancellor Lee Adams. Sadly, despite every effort, Cherika slipped into a coma and died a month later. Carruth's actions after the shooting immediately raised suspicions. He posted $3 million bail, but when Cherika died, he fled, violating his release conditions. Police later found him hiding in a car trunk in Tennessee with cash, clothes, and other items. At trial, Carruth's defense argued the shooting was related to a failed drug deal. The jury disagreed. He was found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder, shooting into an occupied vehicle and using an instrument to destroy a fetus. He received nearly 19 years in prison. After 18 years, he was released in 2018. He apologized publicly to Cherika's mother, who raised Chancellor as her own. Despite a troubled past, Chancellor grew up strong and resilient. His story is a reminder of how one man's actions can deeply affect many lives. Fay DeWitt. In 1965, actress Fay DeWitt became embroiled in public scandal after being charged with killing her ex-husband, famous playwright Ray Allen. But the truth was far more complicated than initial reports suggested. Just a month earlier, Fay and Ray had divorced. Ray, long troubled by alcoholism and violence, showed up at Fay's home drunk and furious. He broke in, clearly intent on causing harm. Fay, alone and terrified, feared for her life. As Ray advanced, she acted in self-defense. During the chaotic struggle, she grabbed a letter opener. In the heat of the moment, Ray was fatally stabbed. What began as self-defense quickly escalated into an unthinkable tragedy. Fay was arrested and charged with causing Ray's death. The circumstances raised questions, but as the investigation unfolded, the truth became clear. Evidence showed Ray was the aggressor. Fay was injured during the break-in. Witnesses confirmed Ray's violent behavior, supporting Fay's claim of self-defense. With these revelations, charges were quickly dropped and she was acquitted. The media sensationalized and judged her harshly, but Fay resumed her acting career. Even at age 90, Fay DeWitt refused to fade away. In 2024, she returned to the screen as Jan V. Michael in A Man on the Inside, and in 2023, impressed audiences on stage in 70, Girls 70. Her resilience and artistry prove that true talent never disappears. Spade Cooley. On April 3, 1961, Ella Mae's life ended in tragedy after a violent fight with her husband, Spade Cooley. The Western swing music star and TV personality became a condemned killer. Cooley was arrested after a brutal confrontation with his wife. Their marriage had been troubled for some time, with reports of physical abuse and mental anguish. During the fierce argument, Cooley, reportedly drunk, lost his temper. In the confrontation, he inflicted serious harm on Ella Mae. She suffered severe injuries and was later found dead. At first, Cooley claimed Ella Mae took her own life, but the evidence said otherwise. Investigators quickly uncovered the truth. Ella Mae was the victim of a violent attack, and Cooley was arrested and charged with her death. Spade Cooley was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. His once promising career, which soared in the 1940s and 1950s, collapsed. He spent years behind bars before being paroled in 1972. Despite serving his sentence, Cooley's legacy as a musician and performer was overshadowed by the horrific events of his private life. This tragedy remains one of Hollywood's darkest chapters of downfall. Edward Furlong. Edward Furlong's journey from breakout star to troubled adult is one of Hollywood's more poignant cautionary tales. He rocketed to fame as the rebellious, sharp-witted John Connor in Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Furlong once symbolized the bright promise of a new generation of actors. His youthful looks and effortless charm captured millions. But as the years rolled on, a series of personal struggles began to take a visible toll. Furlong grappled with damaging lifestyle choices. He found himself caught in a vortex of negative influences, particularly during what he later described as a terrifying period in his early 20s. Those challenges left deep marks, not just emotionally but physically. His health and appearance began to deteriorate. As his legal and personal troubles mounted, so did the changes to his image. The one-time golden boy turned into a cautionary figure. Yet, despite hitting rock bottom, Furlong's story took a hopeful turn. In 2021, he revealed he'd been clean for 3 years. He was focused on recovery and rebuilding his career. While his appearance still carries the scars of his difficult past, Furlong's resilience and determination shine through. Who is this 90s Hollywood icon? The early 2000s marked a sudden, perplexing vanishing act from one of the era's most beloved actresses. She was a performer celebrated for her roles in Single White Female and Jackie Brown. For years, her striking elegance and magnetic presence left a vivid impression on audiences and critics alike. Then, without much warning, she stepped away from acting. She chose instead the quiet company of her husband, acclaimed composer Danny Elfman. She stayed far from Hollywood's relentless eye. This exit sparked endless speculation. Was it the result of a devastating car crash in 2003 that fractured her vertebrae? Or did the relentless demands and pressures of Hollywood simply prove too much to bear? Regardless, the once glamorous star has since become almost impossible to recognize. Her present-day appearance is sharply at odds with the youthful, polished image she once projected on red carpets and magazine covers. Recent paparazzi photos reignited debate. Was this just the natural, unavoidable march of time? Or had she, as some critics claimed, let herself go? Can you identify this 90s icon before her name is revealed? Chime in below with your best guess and see if you're right. Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer was the type of actor who could command any room with just a look. His career exploded with unforgettable performances. Think of Top Gun's Iceman or his intense portrayal in The Doors. His distinct, powerful voice became his trademark. But behind the silver screen magic, Kilmer's story took a difficult turn. In 2015, he was diagnosed with throat cancer. It was a devastating blow. It led to extensive medical treatments and surgeries. The effort to beat the illness was grueling. As part of his fight, he underwent a tracheotomy that forever changed his voice. What was once a commanding, resonant tone is now much weaker. It is a constant, audible reminder of what he endured. Sadly, Kilmer's struggles did not end there. On April 1st, 2025, he passed away in Los Angeles at age 65. It was due to complications from pneumonia. His compromised respiratory health worsened the condition. The loss was widely felt. Director Michael Mann remarked on the brilliant variability Kilmer brought to his craft. Tom Cruise honored his memory with a moment of silence at CinemaCon. Fans everywhere revisited his 4 decades of work. They celebrated the unyielding talent behind the man whose appearance and fate were so dramatically altered by illness and the relentless passage of time. Val Kilmer's story is just the beginning. Even more shocking transformations are coming. Watch till the end and comment 1 if you're ready for what's next. Brigitte Bardot. Brigitte Bardot remains one of France's most legendary screen icons. Throughout the 1960s and 70s, Bardot was often compared to Marilyn Monroe. She epitomized the effortless allure and style of a bygone era. Bardot's later years have been profoundly shaped by arthritis. It is a condition that steadily eroded her physical vitality. It transformed her once youthful body into a far more fragile version of its former self. The condition made her movements less fluid. Her posture became less upright. She struggled with pain on a daily basis. Layered on top of her health struggles were battles with unhealthy habits and other personal demons. That complicated her career and public persona. In 1973, Bardot stepped away from acting entirely. She dedicated herself to animal rights. She began living a quieter, more secluded life in the south of France. Now at 89, her public appearances are rare. Her once dazzling beauty faded by the inexorable effects of age. Gary Busey. Gary Busey was once a powerhouse of charisma and energy. In his prime, Busey's expressive face was animated and lively. That presence drew audiences to films like The Buddy Holly Story. The films earned him an Oscar nomination in the late 70s. But tragedy struck in 1988. He suffered a motorcycle accident while not wearing a helmet. That left him with a devastating brain injury. That moment marked a permanent turning point. The after effects visibly altered his appearance. His face became hollow. His eyes were more deeply set. His ability to convey emotion through subtle expressions diminished. But the accident wasn't the only struggle Busey faced. He battled unhealthy habits for years. That further compounded the toll on his body and image. It pulled him away from the kind of roles and the level of fame he once commanded. Even so, Gary Busey's impact on film and television remains impressive. He has over 150 credits. He is still remembered fondly by many fans. His journey is a sobering testament to the fragile line between stardom and vulnerability. It shows that even those who reach the peak of Hollywood's heights are not immune to life-changing setbacks. Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda is a name synonymous with Hollywood greatness. She was an actress, fitness guru, and activist. Yet, even for a superstar of her stature, the effort to maintain her image came with consequences. Now 86, Fonda's appearance bears the unmistakable imprint of both time and medical interventions. Multiple cosmetic procedures have left their marks. Sometimes they complicated her health and added a new layer of challenge to an already storied life. She has also endured major battles with illnesses such as osteoporosis. She has demonstrated a resilience that goes far deeper than surface beauty. Despite these obstacles, Fonda remains a symbol of optimism and vitality. She carved out a career as iconic as any in film history. Beginning in the 1960s, she enchanted audiences with her confidence, grace, and bold screen presence. She was never more so than in the cult classic Barbarella. Over the decades, Fonda racked up countless accolades, including 2 Academy Awards. Today, she developed a reputation for fearlessly reinventing herself. She is still engaged in activism and still uses her platform to fight for causes she believes in. Living in Los Angeles, she reminds us all that the real essence of beauty and power is something cultivated from within, regardless of what the years or the cameras might say. Joan Van Ark. Joan Van Ark was famed for her unforgettable turn as Valene Ewing on the television phenomenon Dallas. She was once heralded for her delicate, classic beauty and sharp, expressive features. During the 1980s, her flawless skin and vibrant eyes epitomized a Hollywood standard that countless others aspired to reach. Yet, as years went by, Van Ark's commitment to maintaining her youthful appearance led her down a path of extensive aesthetic procedures. Unfortunately, these efforts backfired in dramatic fashion. Repeated interventions left her skin overly taut and stretched. Her lips became unusually plump. Her chin was markedly altered. This created a visage that many critics described as nearly unrecognizable compared to her prime. The radical changes not only cost her the natural beauty that helped launch her career, but also opened her up to harsh public scrutiny and, at times, cruel ridicule. Ultimately, these pressures drove Van Ark to retreat from the limelight. She now lives quietly, away from the Hollywood scene that once adored her. Her story stands as a stark lesson about the risks inherent in the relentless pursuit of youth. It also shows the potential for irreversible change when chasing a perfection that can never truly be recaptured. Carrot Top. Carrot Top, known to his family and close friends as Scott Thompson, first exploded into the American comedy scene in the 1990s. He was an instantly recognizable figure thanks to his riotous red hair, explosive stage energy, and ingenious use of props. Over time, Carrot Top's transformation became almost as famous as his punchlines. He began adopting a more muscular look. What really raised eyebrows was the drastic change to his face. Today, his features are markedly different. He has unusually pronounced cheekbones, tight skin, and wide, striking eyes. Many observers believe these are the result of repeated cosmetic procedures. The shift is so pronounced that longtime fans often express shock or concern. Some suggest he may have pursued improvements a bit too aggressively. Despite the chatter, Carrot Top has never shied away from public life. He continues to perform tirelessly. He appears on stages across America. For him, the ability to make people laugh far outweighs any debate about looks. His resilience in the face of criticism is a reminder. For some entertainers, the spotlight's harshest judgments matter less than the enduring joy they bring their audience, no matter how unorthodox their journey might appear. Courtney Love. Courtney Love has always been a figure impossible to ignore. She burst onto the rock scene in the 1990s as the frontwoman for Hole. She embodied the raw, untamed spirit of grunge. Her beauty was unconventional and magnetic, but the decades since have been marked by turbulence. Love's public struggles with addiction, legal battles, and personal tragedy have played out under the harshest of spotlights. As the years wore on, her appearance underwent drastic change. Her once youthful visage was replaced by features many fans now find unfamiliar. Cosmetic surgeries, combined with the scars of a wild life, have left her face looking dramatically different. She is nearly unrecognizable to those who remember the golden MTV era. Critics often cite her journey as a cautionary tale about the high price of fame. Supporters see a survivor who refuses to be defined by adversity. Whatever side you land on, Love's influence is undeniable. Her fearless lyrics, bold stage presence, and advocacy for women's rights remain as relevant today as ever. Her physical transformation, for better or worse, is just one chapter in a story defined by survival, reinvention, and a refusal to conform. Melanie Griffith. Melanie Griffith was once the darling of Hollywood. Her star power was cemented by performances like the ambitious Tess McGill in Working Girl. But behind the scenes, Griffith fought a long and arduous battle with unhealthy habits. Choices that ultimately reshaped not only her life, but her appearance as well. Faced with the additional pressures of Hollywood's obsession with youth, she turned to cosmetic enhancements, These included facelifts and other treatments, in a bid to hold on to her signature look. Unfortunately, the interventions often had the opposite effect. They left her face visibly altered and at times unnaturally tight and stiff. By the time she appeared at the 77th Golden Globe Awards in January 2020, the changes were impossible to ignore. She had deep wrinkles, a faded glow, and a sense of weariness that stood in stark contrast to her energetic screen persona. Griffith's story is a poignant illustration of how personal challenges, compounded by the relentless glare of celebrity, can dramatically reshape even the most dazzling of stars. Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman was once a poster child for 1980s youth culture. He rose to fame on the back of films like The Goonies, Stand By Me, and The Lost Boys. His early career shimmered with promise. His boyish grin and exuberant energy won over audiences and critics alike. But Feldman's rise was shadowed by profound personal struggles that would eventually become all too visible in his appearance. Years of grappling with unhealthy lifestyle choices, combined with deep emotional turmoil, took a toll that even the most skilled Hollywood makeup artist could not disguise. The toll on his health became especially pronounced in recent years. He publicly revealed his battles with thyroid disease and other ailments. These compounded the visible effects of stress and time. Now, Feldman's appearance is dramatically different from the vibrant, youthful image that made him a star. His face has grown gaunter. The light in his eyes is dimmer. The marks of age are unmistakable. This transformation serves as a stark visual record of the price exacted by fame, relentless work, and the shadows that sometimes accompany childhood stardom. Still, Feldman continues to perform and share his story. He offers hope that survival, however imperfect, is itself a victory. Rod Stewart. With his spiky blonde hair, cheeky grin, and flashy wardrobe, Stewart was as much a style trendsetter as he was a musical legend. He won fans worldwide with chart-topping hits like Maggie May and Do You Think I'm Sexy? But as the years accumulated, even Stewart could not outpace time's relentless march. Decades of late-night gigs, a high-octane lifestyle, and the physical toll of constant touring gradually began to show in his face and frame. The youthful vigor that once defined his stage presence gave way to pronounced wrinkles, sagging skin, and a more weathered appearance. All of this made his transformation particularly striking to longtime fans. Health concerns added another layer of complexity. Stewart has publicly battled serious issues including cancer and heart troubles. These forced him to reconsider both his professional pace and personal choices. While his legendary stamina is diminished, Stewart's passion for performance remains intact. He still graces the stage, though less frequently, pouring the same emotion into his music as ever before. His evolving appearance is a testament not only to a life lived with intensity, but to the reality that even the boldest stars must contend with the inevitable. Faye Dunaway. Faye Dunaway rose to fame as one of the most striking faces of the late 1960s and 70s. She turned in unforgettable performances in films like Bonnie and Clyde and Chinatown. With her chiseled cheekbones and icy beauty, she seemed destined to defy the effects of time. But Dunaway's journey has been as complex as the characters she portrayed. In her later years, Dunaway's attempts to stave off aging through cosmetic procedures and lifestyle changes yielded mixed results. The actress's face, once a study in classic Hollywood glamour, gradually changed. Her features became sharper, her lines became deeper. The old allure was replaced by a visage that left some fans stunned. By '83, Dunaway had largely retreated from public life. Her acting career, spanning over 100 films, seemed concluded. Reports suggest declining health. Public sightings are rare. Dunaway's transformation is a vivid reflection of the interplay between relentless ambition, the harsh demands of beauty and show business, and the inescapable effects of time. Kim Basinger. Kim Basinger captivated audiences from the moment she burst onto the scene. She was first a high fashion model in the 1970s, Then she became a silver screen siren through the 1980s and 90s. Her icy blonde beauty became the gold standard for Hollywood glamour. However, Basinger's career and personal life were marked by as many challenges as triumphs. Her attempt to buy the entire town of Brazelton, Georgia in 1993 resulted in financial catastrophe. It culminated in bankruptcy and years of legal and economic hardship. These setbacks, combined with the pressures of staying relevant in a youth-obsessed industry, contributed to dramatic changes in her appearance. The natural beauty that defined her early roles was gradually supplanted by signs of both aging and likely cosmetic interventions. There were subtle shifts in facial structure. There was a loss of softness around the eyes. There was an overall look that seemed less at ease in the spotlight. Today, Basinger appears in public only rarely. Her health and lifestyle no longer draw the attention they once did. While her current image is a far cry from her heyday, her film legacy remains untouchable. She has over 40 credits, ensuring that the world will never forget the complex, enigmatic star she once was. Pamela Anderson. Pamela Anderson became an international phenomenon in the 1990s. She transformed from Playboy model to household name almost overnight, thanks to her unforgettable stint on Baywatch. With her sun-kissed hair, signature red swimsuit, and bold charisma, Anderson was the embodiment of California cool and global sex appeal. Yet, even the most iconic images cannot withstand the persistent effects of time, lifestyle, and personal hardship. Her career was plagued by relentless public scrutiny, tumultuous relationships, and health challenges, including a public battle with hepatitis C. Additionally, the cumulative effects of cosmetic surgeries, a fast-paced lifestyle, and widely publicized personal issues began to manifest physically. The vibrant features that made her instantly recognizable slowly gave way to more pronounced lines, altered contours, and an overall shift in appearance that some found nearly unrecognizable compared to her peak. Now in her late 50s, Anderson continues to make occasional appearances. Her days of constant paparazzi pursuit are largely over. Nevertheless, her enduring spirit, activism, and status as a cultural touchstone keep her relevant. Anderson's striking transformation is a testament to the complex interplay between fame, personal choice, and the unstoppable march of age. It reminds everyone that no public image, however legendary, is immune to change. Enjoying this video? Like and subscribe for more. Not feeling it? A like would still be appreciated, and your comments will help me do better next time. Richard Dean Anderson. Richard Dean Anderson won the world over as the quick-thinking, all-American hero in MacGyver. During the show's heyday in the 1980s and early 90s, Anderson's healthy, boyish looks and charming wit made him a beloved television staple. But as the decades rolled by, Anderson's transformation became quietly apparent. Although he made efforts to maintain his health, the inescapable effects of aging began to show. He had thinner features, more pronounced wrinkles, and a general shift in energy. No longer the poster child for action hero fitness, Anderson gradually faded from the public eye. He chose instead to devote his time to personal pursuits and charitable causes. He rarely makes appearances now. When he does, the contrast to his MacGyver persona is striking. Nevertheless, for millions of fans, the clever, resourceful hero from TV's golden age remains alive in memory, untouched by the changes of the real world. Anderson's journey illustrates that while fame may be fleeting, the positive impact of a single iconic role can endure long after youth and the spotlight have moved on. Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger, the electrifying frontman of the Rolling Stones, has spent more than half a century commanding stages across the globe. Jagger's 1960s and 70s prime was defined by world tours, studio albums, and a pace of living that few could match or survive. But the toll of living in the fast lane became increasingly apparent as Jagger entered his 70s. Health scares, including heart valve replacement surgery in 2019, forced the legend to reckon with his own mortality and adapt his once untouchable routine. The visible signs of aging, deeper wrinkles, thinner hair, and a more delicate posture are now apparent to all. This is a stark contrast to the vibrant figure who once danced and strutted with abandon. Despite these changes, Jagger's resilience is nothing short of extraordinary. He continues to perform, adapt, and inspire. He shows the world that while time might change the body, it cannot dampen the spirit of true artistry. Elton John. Elton John, with his flamboyant costumes, oversized glasses, and irrepressible showmanship, became an icon of the 1970s music scene and beyond. Behind the glitter, however, was a man fighting fierce private battles. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, Elton struggled openly with addiction and other destructive behaviors. These problems threatened not only his career but also his health and appearance. Eventually, these hardships forced a reckoning. Elton chose to transform his lifestyle. He embarked on a path to sobriety and greater well-being. Now, in his late 70s, the effects of both his past excesses and his more recent efforts at self-care are evident. His once youthful face now displays the gentle weathering of age. The physical exuberance of earlier performances has been replaced by a steadier, more reflective stage presence. Nevertheless, Elton remains highly active in music and philanthropy. He continues to collect awards and accolades while mentoring new generations of artists. His transformation is as much about inner growth as outward change. It is an inspiring narrative that underscores the value of resilience and the power of second chances. Teri Hatcher. Hatcher's fresh-faced beauty and expressive charm won her legions of fans. But living under the constant gaze of Hollywood's harsh spotlight took its toll. Over the years, Hatcher's appearance changed. Lines deepened. The fullness of youth faded. Speculation mounted that she may have turned to aesthetic procedures, though she has always denied it. While she continued to attend industry events and remain active in the public eye, her star no longer shone quite as brightly as it once did. The shifting contours of her face, particularly the deeper lines around her eyes and mouth, are a reminder that no one, however accomplished or admired, can avoid the realities of aging. Still, Hatcher's career and resilience are proof that the truest beauty lies in embracing the journey, not just the destination. Her visible transformation tells a universal story about the pressure to preserve youth and the dignity that comes from letting go. Toya Jackson. Toya Jackson, a member of the legendary Jackson family, once shone with a natural, effortless grace that made her stand out even among superstars. But Toya's relationship with fame has been anything but simple. Over time, she underwent a series of cosmetic procedures, most notably rhinoplasty and other facial modifications, that transformed her look so dramatically that it often sparked comparisons to her brother Michael. The allure of her youth gave way to an appearance that some now describe as rigid and overly sculpted. This change has been the subject of endless speculation and tabloid headlines, but Toya's story runs much deeper than skin-deep critiques. Raised in a world of strict expectations and public scrutiny, she endured both a turbulent marriage and long periods of personal hardship, often with little support. Yet, instead of vanishing from the spotlight, Toya re-emerged on her own terms. She built a new identity through reality TV, advocacy, and candid self-reflection. She speaks openly about her choices. She refuses to let others define her. The public's endless debate about her face is a distraction from her real journey. It is a journey of resilience, survival, and a hard-won sense of self-worth. In many ways, Toya Jackson is a symbol of both the cost and the complexity of fame. She walks a tightrope between visibility and authenticity. She is judged by the world, but ultimately answers only to herself. So now you know, the faces once admired on screen hide secrets darker than any script. These are not just tragic love stories gone wrong. They are real-life horror films acted out in silence, scandal, and cold blood. From courtroom dramas to Hollywood whispers, the truth is finally out. But one question remains. How many more still hide behind the perfect mask of fame? Share your thoughts below, and never forget, even in Hollywood, monsters don't always wear costumes.